5 American citizens tonight are on the final leg of their years-long journey to freedom. Just hours from now, the prisoners who were wrongly detained inside Iran will arrive back in the U.S. to Fort Belvoir, not far from where we are here in the nation's capital. It took months and months of secret diplomatic talks, and here's what we know about the high-stakes deal. The U.S. released $6 billion of frozen Iranian oil funds and let 5 Iranians who were facing charges for nonviolent crimes walk free. Republicans tonight are voicing concern about the money headed to Iran, a state sponsor of terrorism. Now, earlier today, we saw the Americans get their first taste of freedom in years. The White House said President Biden had an emotional call with their families after they left Iran. CBS's chief foreign affairs correspondent Margaret Brennan is here to start us off. Good evening, Margaret.
Good evening to you, Nora. And these 5 American families will be reunited later tonight. President Biden called the family members, and as one said, for the first time in years, there is light in their home. Joy and relief after the 5 Americans and 2 family members touched down in Qatar today and were handed over to U.S. officials. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said he had an emotional conversation with the freed Americans.
It's very good to be able to say that our fellow citizens are free after enduring something that I think it would be difficult for any of us to imagine.
For 51-year-old businessman Siamak Namazi, it is the end to an 8-year ordeal, according to his attorney, Jared Genzer.
He has missed some of the best years of his life, 8 years. He wants to be married and have kids. He now has to figure out where's he going to live, what's he going to do for a living, for a job, and how does he rebuild his life.
Iran detained environmentalist Murad Tabaz in 2018. The same year, businessman Imad Shargi was first arrested and held without trial in Iran's notorious Evin prison on what the U.S. considers trumped-up espionage charges. In return, 5 Iranian nationals were granted clemency. 2 will remain in the U.S., 2 others returned to Iran today. Critics of the hostage diplomacy worry the regime will now, as part of the deal, have access to $6 billion worth of unfrozen Iranian oil assets held in a restricted account in Qatar.
These monies can be used to support terrorist organizations, Hezbollah, Hamas, and venturesome actions of Iran.
The Biden administration insists the U.S. Treasury can prevent that misuse and only permit humanitarian purchases like food and medicine.
The funds were moved to another bank where we have absolute oversight of how they're used, and we have absolute confidence in the process and the system that's been set up.
Now, another concern is that releasing funds incentivizes hostage-taking by putting a price on the head of other Americans. As for other diplomacy with Iran, both President Biden and Iran's President Raisi are in New York City, but Nora, they do not have plans to meet.
Quite a development. Margaret Brennan, thank you very much.